In this video, I want to talk about the things that you need to know to recover from an emotionally abusive relationship. You do need to be careful as you can get stuck, and there are 3 things that you can actually do today to aid your recovery. You do need to be honest with yourself and take responsibility for the role that you played in the relationship. And you might be reaching out for the next button, but I promise you, this is a key part of your recovery, and I'll explain during the video why. Hello and welcome to the Divorce Sanctuary. I'm your host, Elizabeth, and on this channel I talk about emotional abuse. I'm the founder of the Divorce Sanctuary and Wound Talking, and I've been a woundologist for over 20 years, working with past life wounds, clearing ancestral trauma, and working with this life wounding. I wrote my first book, Finding Lily, sat on a beach in Greece as my marriage was crumbling around me. My second book, The A to Z of Emotional Abuse, followed as I discovered a new language and words and phrases that I had no idea existed and I realised had been my reality. And my third book, Divorce Matters, has been written to support you through the divorce process. It's an important part of your healing. You can get the closure you need and heal the emotional wounds. And because your divorce matters are also very important, you're given permission to ask the questions you've been told not to ask, getting all the information you need, dotting all the I's, crossing all the T's, and you're able to start to create the life you deserve to live. If you're new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe, and if you're returning, welcome back. If you've been through an abusive relationship, you might have experienced a narcissistic fleas. If you grew up in a household, you've already experienced this manipulation within the first 7 to 8 years of your life, where you were taught that this is normal behaviour. Healing is crucial, but it's more than healing. This is about being the person that you were born to be, the person you were never allowed to be, the person you hid from the world because your reality was it would be dangerous. You may believe time is a healer and that you will get over this or through this, but it's a lie. It traps you. During the relationship, you played a role. 2 masks were created. During the idealization stage, they listened to you intently. They created a persona that they thought you wanted. They also created one for you, the person they wanted you to be for them. They worshipped you. You might have felt this was a lot of pressure, but they showered you with attention, and you believed they saw you in a way that you'd never been seen before, heard in a way that you'd never been heard before. The person you were born to be may have felt confident and started to step forward, but you received mixed messages. These relationships move quickly. You see the red flags, but they get overlooked. You might have made a mental note, but they made excuses. They presented their inner child to you, their wounded child. They excused themselves. They made you believe the lies that they told you because this relationship served you in some way. They might have told you that they wanted to change for you, but systematically they broke down your boundaries one by one, and they took over your life, infiltrating every area. With the boundaries, they also started destroying you. When you look like you are going to leave, they would apologise, promise to change. The only thing they changed was their behaviour, was the way they covered it up. In shamanic healing, there's a process called dismemberment. This is used to heal our wounds, allowing spirit guides to take us apart and heal and put us back together. There's nothing spiritual about the process when it's carried out by an emotional abuser. They carry out their own version of this dismembering of your life bit by bit, infiltrating every layer. But they don't do it for your healing. This is an attempt for their own healing. They are children in adult bodies. They miss crucial developmental stages, and their relationships are all based on their healing. The purpose is to recreate a relationship that will fulfill their needs, which are the stages they missed out during their childhood. But this can never happen. This relationship feels familiar to you. You may have experienced similar feelings growing up, and you may stay in a relationship because you're conditioned to stay. The emotional abuser discovers your wounds and uses them to help with the dismemberment they take you through, breaking the bonds with you that weren't broken during their childhood. Initially, you may feel seen and heard, but That then changes once they've infiltrated your system. And I describe it like a hacker getting into your system. During our childhoods, we take on the beliefs of our tribe. Everything that they say and do, we believe is the truth. Your family tribe programmed you from birth, but the abuser has managed to hack in and reprogram you. They then disappear and you have no idea what the code is to get back in. The cycle of abuse is a vehicle they use to keep trying to experience this developmental stage that they didn't go through. And during this process, they break you down so much that you no longer are fit for purpose. They then move on. They find a new model who they believe will then fulfill the role. And this is why their relationships seem to be the same. It's why they move on so quickly. They can't be alone. But if you're thinking that they haven't moved on, they are either hiding a new relationship or they have another person in their life that they can control. You are an object to them. You are objectified. And due to their trauma, they have no emotional connection, despite claiming they do. They objectify you and then they drain you of everything, every emotion. Part of this will be having a reason for discarding you. It's not their fault. You were impossible to live with. Not their fault that you have trust issues from previous relationships. It's not the fact that you found them on dating websites having affairs or outrageously flirting with everybody and everything, creating jealousy. Like an object, you become obsolete, no longer fit for purpose. You both have wounds that need healing. Their wounds protect their fragile sense of self. They use their relationships to bond in order to progress through these developmental stages that they missed during their childhood. These can never be recreated, but they won't listen to anybody telling them this. There is nothing wrong with them, and you're left wondering, what's wrong with me? You have more questions than answers, and you'll be wondering if you'd done something differently, if you would be in this place. If you'd said something differently, would you be here? If only and maybe. The cycle of abuse is the way they try to bond and then break that bond. They idolize you. They create a bond and they do this quickly before you have a chance to breathe. It has to be done this way as they have realized that people can see who they are and they will move away. They are funny and charming and interesting. They compliment you and you're seen and heard in a way that perhaps you've never experienced before. They compliment you on your intelligence and your interests, your people skills, your creativity. They use you, acting like a child, asking for help, and you oblige. And why wouldn't you help them? You hand over too much personal information, which you might not even later regret because you're too far into the glue. You have no idea how they change from Dr. Jekyll, a kind, well-respected and intelligent person, who transforms into Mr. Hyde, the evil alter ego who doesn't repent or accept responsibility for his evil crimes and ways. Once you've been bonded to them, they use devaluation, attacking your intelligence and interests, your friends, your family, and they also discard you, trying to force the severing of the bond to create that developmental stage that they missed. The cycle is used again and again. But because this stage was meant to happen in childhood, it can't be replicated. Sam Vaknin has been talking about this for about a year with his dual mothership model. He has been talking to Richard Grannon about co-idealization of a relationship. To heal from narcissistic or emotional abuse, you need to take responsibility for the role you played in that relationship. I've called it taking responsibility. I didn't actually know it had an official term. The specific wounds that attract an emotional abuser are given in childhood, those crucial early years, the first 7 to 8 years of your life, where you live in a theta state and you take on these beliefs of your tribe. The 3 core wounds that we have, abandonment, shame, and betrayal, are key to this attraction. The abuser also uses these wounds to convince you that you are more broken than they are. They brainwash you into submission. It's your childhood that was worse. They are not weak. They can't show their fragile self. That would show weakness. And there's nothing wrong with them, so it must be you. And they then, and I'm going to use the official term, or my official term for this, dump their crap. All their wounds they hand over to you like second-hand clothing. They're passed over to you piece by piece. You need this top to go with the trousers or the skirt. Oh, look, there's a matching bag and a pair of shoes. You take them believing that these wounds are yours. The trust issue you have, you've been told, is from another relationship, isn't from that. Part of it is theirs. Part of it will be down to their behavior and the techniques that they use to create jealousy, like triangulation. You struggle to walk away. Why? Is it possible that during your early years you experienced rejection? It might have been from your tribe or a parent. Our tribes should be keeping us safe. Being rejected from a tribe meant that we were not able to feed ourselves or survive on our own. Perhaps you were shamed as a child, or you might have been betrayed by those who should be protecting you. Personally, I believe there's a gift in these relationships, and that is the deep healing of wounds that can take place. Some will be able to do this, and for others, they would rather smooth over the cracks and move on, watching from the wings what the abuser is doing, who they're dating, who they're marrying, claiming that they're over them, but they aren't able to let go. As you were unable to fill the role that they needed to play, the abuser moves on. You are no longer fit for purpose. Their aim was to fully destroy you. And that is what happens as the relationship collapses and you're left with rubble at your feet. You stayed in the relationship for the promise of a future that you'd created together. And even though they leave the relationship, you stay in it trapped. You've been trained to stay and wait. Like Pavlov's dog, you sit and wait. They've always come back. And this works in so many ways for the abuser. Supply is one of them. The control that they have over you makes them feel powerful. You, on the other hand, have an energy leak. You may feel responsible for them. They told you that you were the only person who ever understood them. You're now left confused. You waited so patiently for the payout, and now you're watching someone else step into your shoes. How is this fair? Healing comes from honest conversations with yourself. You'll probably do anything to get back into that relationship for the safety, where you understand the loose rules that were put in place, where it feels safer than it does in the outside world. During the relationship, they stripped you of everything, emotionally, mentally, financially, physically, spiritually. It's like being kicked off the bus in the middle of a desert, mid-journey. You don't have any money or the right shoes, no hat for the sun, no water. You have been left as a small child without the coping mechanisms in place. These were taken from you, as well as your savings, your moral compass, and everything that you had learned growing up. And even if you leave the relationship, you will still have wounds that need healing. You might want to show the world that you're okay. And you might believe that you are, but this abuse runs deep into your bones. The trauma lodges in your body. It flows through your bloodstream. It's like a verruca virus. It lays dormant, waiting to be triggered again. If you're lucky, it won't. These wounds are real. They are painful. And just because you can't see them, it doesn't mean that they're not there. This healing is not linear. There are so many elements to this. Grieving is a big part. The person you thought they were, this isn't where you thought you would be. And the future that you were planning has now crumbled to dust. Your life has been changed, and you might not even recognize the person staring back at you in the mirror. Stay grounded and out of your head. Your mind has been poisoned, and you hold thoughts and beliefs about yourself that aren't true. And this is why it's crucial to have honest conversations with yourself. This is the perfect opportunity for you to break free and start to build the life that you were born to live. If this resonates with you, then come and join me in the Rise and Thrive Tribe, a monthly membership where you will be supported on this journey. You will have a community and the tools to do this. I'll put the links below, along with other resources, including my course on grief and the essential criteria for creating the perfect healing plan. You are not alone, and it's important to surround yourself with people who understand what you're going through, the emotions that you experience, and with no judgment. Healing from abuse is a journey. It is not linear. Take the time to practice self-care. Be gentle with yourself. Treat yourself like a toddler. Healing is a process, and it's important to be patient and kind. You deserve to live a life free of emotional abuse, and with the right support, healing is possible. I'm sending you loads and loads of love until next time.